Yeah, I must say that I really thought that we were a lot further along with our math skills, and so okay. So you know, I know I'm not upset by any means. I'm not, but it just means that we have work to do. I mean, this is when I did loans. This is all how I would do them. I never used Encompass or Calyx or any of these things. So, um, I love using the calculator, and that's just what I've always been comfortable with using. And so, I think you can do it fast. It's on the fly, and you want to get comfortable knowing. But the thing is that I study a lot, man. If I'm not good at something, I make a point to get good at it. So if this is not a strong point for you, you definitely want to make a point to get good at it. Okay. And so let me get a calculator.
Yes.
All right. So we have these scenarios here. The first one is USDA Texas, 640 credit score, 6,000 income. They got $1,000 a month in bills, and the questions are, what does he qualify for? What's the payment? What's the interest rate? The debt ratio? How much are you going to need for concessions? How much is needed to close? Right? Okay. So, what did you guys come up with?
4.25% on the interest rate, 2340 on the debt ratio, 1400 on the payment, qualifies for 240, 8400 on concessions, and I didn't know.
You said he qualifies for 240.
Only said 180 also. Because everything else is really is ranch.
Can we just run through it and see? Because I think we might be jotting down. We might have all gotten different stuff. But I think if we run through it,
Yeah.
once,
How much did you have for needed for closing?
USDA, nothing for them to close with their concessions.
Jason, I got 4,050.
but I'm not sure exactly how we came up with that. I'm still a little fuzzy on the closing of the concessions.
Okay. So we know for every $100,000, the payment's going to be about $725 a month. We all agree with that?
Yes.
Okay. So the interest rate you priced out in Optimal Blue is 4.25. Did everyone price that out? Was that a par rate?
That was the par rate.
Okay. Okay. So, we know that with his credit score, the maximum that he can go. And this is not assuming MCC.
Right.
This is just assuming regular USDA. So we know the maximum debt ratio is 41. So, so if we take a look at it, we know 725. Let's just say 1450 would be a $200,000 loan, and he's got 1,000 in outflow. That's 2450 divided by $6,000 puts him at 41,000. You see that?
That's not the way that
You guys see that?
Say that again?
Okay. So we said 725 a month is for a $100,000 loan, right?
Right.
So 1450 is for 200,000.
Right.
So 1450 plus $1,000 equals 2450 divided by $6,000 equals 41 on the back end. Okay.
I was actually doing it on a calculator where it was like 180,000 loan amount, 4.25 interest, 30 return, which I got a principal and interest of 885. But then I individually calculated the taxes and insurance. So then on the loan amount of 180,000 times the 1%, it's 1,800 divided
Yeah.
by 12. I got $150 a month for the taxes, right? And then
150 for taxes?
a month.
No.
Is 1% of the month average?
For Texas? No.
Oh wait, it's 2.5%. It was 2 to 3.
Yeah. And you got to remember that this is an approximation. So 200 is on the high side. 180 also works too. 180 to 200 is the appropriate way on how to do it. So I want to show you guys how I would do it quickly if it was me, is to determine what he qualifies for. Like I said, so again, you have 1,000 in bills plus, let's just say 1,450 to 1,500. That's 2,500. That's outflow.
That's the part that throws me.
Well, we know that every 100,000 is 7.25.
Right.
Right.
But you're kind of just plugging in a number and guesstimating instead of just taking what you have and trying to figure out how much you got. Which I'm not saying is wrong, because obviously you do it well.
You need to know this in 5 seconds. You don't have 2 hours to figure this out. So I mean, you'd lose the loan. So I mean, this is the correct way to do it. That's why that was put there for you. And so if you know that as a roundabout, now Texas, the taxes are higher than other areas, so 180 is acceptable too.
Right.
So, and when you tell the customer, you're gonna let's say, listen, you're eligible between 180 to 200,000. Okay.
Right.
We talked about this the other night. There's not a solid number, because if I go buy a house here for 180, I can't qualify for the same 180 in the Heights. It just doesn't work like that.
Right.
So it's not like it's a hard and fast rule, because it depends on where the person is. If they tell me they want to get approved in the Heights, I got to go a little bit lower loan amount, because of the taxes are going to be higher. There's probably some type of homeowners association dues.
Right.
That doesn't apply here. So anyway, the thing is that, so we know for every 100,000 it's about 7.25, plus he's got 1,000 in bills, and that his income is $6,000. Forget about the spouse and MCC and all that stuff. That's not what we're talking about here. So when you do 2,500 over 6,000, what do you get?
42.
Okay, so it's probably a little on the high side. You're right. So when we see that, we may want to back it down a little bit. 180 to 190-ish, 200-ish, somewhere. And I would simply tell the customer, hey man, you're eligible between 180 and 200,000.
Okay.
Somewhere in there.
I figured the percentage of bills over income, which was 17%, and then did 39% less 17, and then multiplied that by the income to figure out how much house. But of course, that's pushing up against the max cushion.
Yeah. The thing is with that is there's too many steps. Okay. This is just 2 steps real fast. Find out what the outflow is. Do the 7.25 for every 100,000, and boom, right there. You know what it is. Divide that over the gross earnings.
I was doing tons of steps.
You can't do that though. That's the problem. And so we need to know quickly where this guy's at. You see? I'm getting a little bit too much light. Hold on. So what do we have here? He qualifies, I say, 180 to 200K. Payment is around, what do we say, 1,500, 1,450 to 1,500. Net ratio 41. Concessions for 180, 200,000. What's the percentage? Was it 3.5? 3.5?
I was going by the chart that I had. I can't remember now.
3.75.
And the 3.75?
Thought it was 3.5.
I thought it was 3.5.
That's what, yeah, I think that's what I calculated.
Yeah, I got 3.5 concessions.
Sounds right.
Comes out to 7,000. No money to close.
Yeah.
He will have money for out of pocket for appraisal and inspections, about $1,000.
But that wasn't what you
That
were
wasn't
Right,
factoring
right,
it in.
right. But I mean, I didn't. You're right. I didn't ask
Because
that.
Jason and I were sitting there vacillating. We weren't sure if that's what, so we were trying to figure some of that out.
Right.
We weren't sure what you were asking.
That's okay. So, okay, VA Pennsylvania. This is a tricky one right here.
Yes. What was the debt ratio? 23 and 40, right?
41.
23 and 41.
He just wants
Well,
to back in.
yeah,
Not
I
the
mean-
housing ratio, just the debt ratio.
I mean, you could do the
But,
housing.
I mean,
Doesn't
technically
hurt.
the debt ratio, we took it to 39, didn't we?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. So, I mean, you 180 to 200. You want to have some cushion there, I guess. But the thing that I want you to get comfortable with is knowing how to do this fast
Right.
and be fairly accurate, you know, and not be scrambling when someone calls you. So that's the thing. You see, here's the thing: you're going to get calls all the time, and the people are going to want to know, okay, what am I eligible for? And you need some quick formulas that you can just go and quick. Okay, how much are your bills? Okay, and how much is your income? Okay, I know that 7.25, 7.5 for every 100,000,
Yeah.
and then boom, I can tell you what you qualify for.
Right.
So, so VA Pennsylvania, he's got a 620 credit. Same thing. So now that I've given you this for the first one, why don't you guys tell me for the second one, what did you come up with?
Well, what I got for the interest rate, I did Optimal Blue, it was like 4.75. That's what Optimal Blue was giving me.
Probably, yeah, with a low credit score.
Yeah. So, I mean, based what I got like approved around about 200,000.
200,000?
That's what I got. I know I did a lot more math than what. I'm doing a lot.
How much were needed for, what'd you get?
220.
Okay. Scott, what'd you get?
About 180,000. I think Jason and I were a little more conservative because we're adding that cushion in there. So
What did you guys get for needed for concessions?
6%. So on mine it was 13,241.
Okay. What did you get, Nick?
I got 12,000. So I know that the I know this one's tricky because there was something to do with VA is like 4% of my concession, and because of Pennsylvania, I know it's high, and it's like 6%. So I know that I know I did it wrong, but I know that there's something there. So if I was calculating, 200,000 times 6%, I got 12,000 about 57.
Okay. And what'd you get?
I got
Yes, sir.
13,441.
Okay.
241.
we went a little lower, so we got like 11.
Okay. Okay. This one required some more thought, for sure. So let's see. So first thing we see here is, it's in Pennsylvania and that it's VA. So we know that in Pennsylvania, based on our pre-approval checklist, that you need 6% concessions. But we know with VA loan, the max concessions allowed is 4%. Right?
Answer's 4%. You get 4%.
Well, so that's already telling me what I'm thinking when I'm hearing this. The guy's gonna have to bring money to closing.
Gotcha.
Unless the seller pays.
No, because the thing is that the maximum allowed is 4% with VA. Okay. See, the cap that the seller can pay for closing is 4%. Okay. But we need 6% in the state. So the guy's got to bring the additional 2% to closing. There's no way around it. Okay? So, but the thing is that we got to see what does this guy qualify for. He's got a 620 credit score. So with that, with VA, he's going to be capped at around a 41% based on the matrix on the debt ratio. Right?
Because what?
Because of his low score. So if he's got $600 a month in bills, and we know for every seven or every 100,000 is 7.25, then that's telling me that okay, this guy, you know, if he's capped at 41, he's making 4,000 a month income. Then what I'm going to look at here is I'm going to see here that 725 plus so 725 for 100,000 and then 50,000. I mean, first what I would do if I was new and I wouldn't already have experience in calculating these, I would take 725 plus 600 divided by 4 grand, comes out to 33. So I see he's got room to go a little higher, right? Because at 100,000 he goes up to 725 plus the bills, he's at 33% on the back end. So I see he's got about 5-6% to play with to go a little higher. So what I would do is then raise this and go, let's say, to 140,000. What you can do is take $725 times 40%, and it comes out to 290. So then we divide that by the 4 grand in income, comes right at 40%. So what does that mean? That he can go up to about 140. So how did do you guys want me to back that up to show you how we did that? Okay.
Because we got 50 on the back end, correct?
The highest you can go on this is 41
That's what I missed.
because you're 620 VA.
620 was a key thing.
The 620 VA says front 40, back end 50
For VA,
for VA.
Yeah, because that's what I was calculating.
Because 619 can go to 43. It's 620 to 639. It's 50.
And that's what I was calculating.
We're running 50. 620.
yeah, let's follow VU approval. On 620, you really don't want to take it that high. It's a little too aggressive. I mean, I guess you could go to 50%, but it's gonna be subject to DU. And so with going that high on the back end, you definitely need to have a DU approval.
I think we were trying to figure it at 47 or 48. Is what we were, I mean, if you took it to 48 with the 620,
Yeah.
would you still be DU?
Yeah. Let me.
Unless that's some good reviews.
No, what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a disclaimer on that for VA, because that's a little bit too. It's a little bit too aggressive. So let's just say that we use the example of the 50% for this case, and we go with 1450 for 200,000 plus 600 in bills. That's at 2050 divided by 4,000 comes out to 51. So it's a little high. So if I would go to 80% of 100,000, what I'm doing is I'm saying, well, for every 100,000, I know it's $725, and so if I say, well, 200's too high because the back end's at 51, what about 180? Right? So then I would take 725 times what?
7.5.
Times
1.8.
80%.
Yeah.
725 times 1.8.
Mm-hmm. Comes out to 580 plus the 725 plus the 600 in bills. So comes out to 1905 divided by 4 grand.
48%.
Yeah, so right there, so 180. What?
11%.
Okay. So let's just say for this example, who got 180? Okay, so you did it right then.
We did the math different than maybe you think it takes. We just did bills divided by income to get percentage of bills and subtracted that from like the cushion amount on the back end we were looking for, which gives us housing ratio. Right? So that's like if 50 is the max on that, let's say we were going with 47. So we figured what bills was, did 47
Yeah.
less bills.
Do you,
and
do you,
then
fe- do you, do you feel more comfortable doing it that way, or do you like it with just knowing the house payment, the factor?
No, we use the 725 also, because once we got the number, we multiply it by 725.
Okay. Yeah.
what
Okay.
I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. I mean that's fine.
It's-
Yeah.
As long as the numbers work, I guess.
Yeah, that's
as long
okay
as we're
too.
Getting the right answer.
To me, it's just faster if you'd use the house payment factor and then know what the bills are, and just make sure you're below the back end debt ratio.
Okay.
You know, but if you want to do it that way too, if you feel more comfortable, it just seems to me like you're taking an extra step. Like why do we need to know what the bill ratio is by itself?
Because it tells us how much we can do from max housing ratio. So if we know what we can do with max housing ratio, we can back into max house payment. Then we can, if we know house payment, we know house.
Okay, that's another way. Yeah, I see it.
I'm not trying to.
No,
I mean,
no.
It was just that's what Jason
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
came up with, and we were.
Okay, that's fine. I
And
mean,
that just tells us max house. Obviously, if that works, then you can scale down from
okay.
that every year.
So on 180, how much does he have to bring to close?
2%, 780,000.
Mm-hmm.
$3,600.
Mm-hmm. Did you get that?
I didn't make it that far.
Okay.
So the concessions are going to be 4%.
Did you get it, Nick? You got 3,600 close? And what was the loan amount you got?
I did it for 200,000.
Okay. 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 So, Nick, why don't you tell me on this number 3, what did you get?
Number 3, I got the interest rate at 4%.
Okay.
This one. Well, I read it first, and then I realized I'm like, this guy he's making $8,000 a month going USDA, and I thought automatically I'm like, well, he might not even qualify for USDA. He makes a little over.
Well, that's, yeah, but this,
But
yeah.
besides that, I did the numbers anyways, and yeah. So what I got was,
It's good thinking, though.
I got him at 200,000, 7,000 for concessions. My ratio was like 1939. Nothing to close, but I got.
What did you need for concessions, you said?
7,000.
Okay. And you said you got them approved for 200?
That's what I wrote down.
Okay.
I got a payment of 1,500.
So the max back end ratio on this is 41%, correct?
Yeah, I mean, you could go maybe a little higher on them with a higher credit score. I mean, that's what it says in the matrix, right?
What is it closing?
Right?
Yeah. It says 41.
It says to probably follow DU, though, with that score.
First Gus approval, can go up to front, can go up to 46% with high credit score or reserves.
Mm-hmm.
So
And I did mine at the back end of 39%.
We use 39 also.
Yeah. So 200,000 is what you got too?
No, hold on. So 29. So right at 300,000.
You got 300? Okay. You got 200, Nick?
Not getting thinking 3, I was still on 2.
So, I mean, I know my way is slow, I guess, but 1,600 divided by 8,000, it's 20%. So if you want to run with 39, that's 29% housing ratio that you can work with. So 8,000 times 0.29 is 2,300 basically. You divide that by 725, you get 3.2. So 320,000 actually. So if you go with 300,000,
Okay.
I mean, is that right? Is that, or does that way work?
No, because the back end net ratio is going to be too high.
No, that is the back end.
What?
That makes the back end too high.
Yeah, if you have a $325,000 home, that's a $2,300 house payment
Mm-hmm.
plus 1,600 bills
Mm-hmm.
divided by $8,000 comes out to 49% on the back end.
All right, the bills are 20%,
Yeah, the bills are $1,600 bucks.
which is okay.
Yeah.
But it's 20%. The max we're working with is 39. I'm sorry, it should be 19. That's what it is.
That's why I don't do it that way.
No, but it still works. I would just run it with the
Then you do 8,000 times 19%.
times 19%.
You got
It's on
1520 is his max.
1520 is the max house payment. So if you divide that by 725, 210,000.
Yeah, about 200,000 is where you're going to be at. So how much for concessions?
I did 7,000.
What'd you guys get? What'd you get for payment, Nick?
It was about just under 1,500.
Okay.
Yeah, I did a whole bunch of steps, but my correct number exact was $1,495.83. I even got the cents in there. So
Okay.
We get the interest rate that we're paying on this.
4%, right?
that's what I got was 4%.
So I've got 954 before taxes and insurance.
Yeah, we need to know the whole payment. With everything in PITI.
Yes.
How did you arrive at that number?
Well, I did a lot more steps than what you're doing, but I mean, I did like.
Let me ask you a question. You saw right there on the front of the thing for every 100,000 it's 725. Why would you go do all those extra steps? Like why? I mean, you saw that right in the front. Why would you go and do that?
I wanted to make sure. I know that was right, but I was like, I'm just trying to make sure. I was like, does that seem right? And I was like, okay, 200,000. I was going off Ultimate Blue, 200,000 loan amount, 4% interest, 30-year term. So that came out to like a 954. What did I choose? I mean, I'm doing a whole bunch of different other steps. I know, 10 different steps in what I'm doing. So it's like it's so wrong.
And that's the long way around.
I know it is a way long. I know.
Because
I'm so used to doing.
Well, I know,
See,
but-
and here's where that 725 came from. It came from a discussion we were having on Friday evening, and what Angela was saying was for every 500 is 100,000 of house of PI. And I said there's got to be a rule of thumb like that that includes taxes and insurance. In it, and so what he came up with is roughly 725 as a rule of thumb. So these are like quoting prices on the phone, like just in generality. So if you shade to the conservative side, it's not to hit it that square on the exact perfect number.
I
It's
guess-
it's roughing into it. So instead of having to go through and figure taxes for all these different places, it's a good rule of thumb.
Yeah, and I was trying to go exact. And that was my mistake. But
And that's
Well, it's not that it's a mistake. It's just that you got to look at and see where where you're. I didn't the thing that you're okay. You're getting inundated with calls, leads, and people are asking all these questions. And if it takes you 30 minutes to get back to them to work up a payment, man, it's too late. And so you need something that you can tell them. Now, when you're sending out the disclosures, you can't do this. I mean, you need to have the right figures. I mean, it's, and you let them know, listen, this is not your final payment. I'm just giving you an approximation because people want to know what, and they're fine with that, most people. They don't need to know, okay, this is to the penny. It's going to be $1,408.36. Okay, it's going to be $1,400, man. Somewhere in there, plus or minus. We don't know because you don't have a house picked out. And I don't know your credit score. I mean, there's a lot of stuff here we don't know yet. So, as far as the concessions are concerned, remember in New York it's 6%. So, and that's another thing that how did you get 7,000? Because that's nowhere near 6%.
on possessions. I didn't know if you were wanting a ratio, if you were wanting actual numbers. But I mean, the math is easy either way. So it's.
Well,
I mean, it's just. We're trying to see if we can look on the chart and see in the
Yeah.
state. Okay.
so which is how much did you get?
6,000. I mean, 6%.
Yeah, 12,000.
On 2
Yeah.
grants, 12,000.
Right. Okay. So that's how we arrived at that.
So needed to close.
Nothing because he has full concessions.
Okay.
FHA Illinois 680 credit, 6,000 income, $1,200 in bills. What did you guys get on this?
I got an interest rate of 4.5%. I got him at 300,000. No, I feel it's too high.
300,000.
300,000. Of payment around 2,000.
It's a little rich, man. Okay, but I want you guys to really see that like these things. It's very good that we have these trainings and stuff, but it could explain why your pipeline could not be where you want it to be. You know what I mean? Because these are key things that are going to come up during the origination process, and I'm not there with you at every call. I mean, so. But if we're missing these type of key things and we're not sharp here, it could cost us loans. Do you agree? So, from the test, from the trainings, you guys know that Illinois is a huge tax proration state. Illinois and Iowa. You have 2050 when they buy a house in Iowa or in Illinois. They're getting that 2015, those taxes prorated. It's not like with your loan here in Dallas. Here they get all the 2015 too. So,
It's not prorated.
huh?
It's not prorated.
It is prorated.
I thought they took a whole year's worth of taxes.
No, not in Illinois. That's in New York.
That's
There's no proration in New York. Yeah, in Illinois there is. The taxes are paid in arrears. So, basically, let's go through here and see what the guy qualifies for. So we know he's got 1,200 bills, 6,000 income, and let's just look at it and see. I'm gonna go off and shoot off the hip and say about 250. So we know that we have 1,450 accounted for 200 grand. and 725 times 50% for the 50 grand comes out to 362. You guys see how I did that?
No.
So, based on what I'm looking at right here, if I look at here 1,200 over 6,000, you know, that's already accounting for, you know, what is that?
100%.
Yeah. So we don't have a lot of room left. So I'm just gonna say, for 250 grand, and that comes out to 1762, because for every 100,000 is 7.25. So 50 grand is 362. So that comes out to 1762 on house payment. Plus 1,200 comes out to 2962 over 6 grand. Comes out to 49%. I mean, he could go a little higher probably.
So how much you say he qualifies for?
I was just guessing 250. If I was just looking at, but now I see he's at a 49% on the back end, so I might go to maybe like 270.
That's what Jason and I got.
Yeah. So let's just say at 725 times 70% comes out to 507, plus the 1450 comes out to 1957, plus 1,200 divided by 6. He's at about 53. It's a little aggressive, you know, but I mean, you know, it's probably somewhere in there about, I would tell him 250 to 270. So did you guys see how we did that?
Do it again.
Nick? No, you're looking down, so that means you didn't get it. So yeah, okay. So it's important that you guys, that we get this, because if you don't get it, then we're gonna run and we're gonna hit our head against the wall. So I'm gonna make sure everyone in this office watches this, because I didn't know we're this far off on this stuff. So it's my fault. Okay, so we see that we know that we all agree for every 100,000 is 7.25. We all agree with that. We're not arguing that. Okay.
Not arguing.
Okay. So 725 equals 100K.
Yep.
So 1450 equals 200K. Right.
Yep.
So 2175 equals 300K. Everyone agrees?
Yes.
Okay. So he has 6K income. He has 1,200 in bills. Okay. So when I look at the situation here, what I want you guys to start thinking about, okay, he already has, you know, 20% of his income is accounted for in his bills.
Yes.
So, you know, intuitively, because I've been doing this a long time, and how I want you to start looking at this is, we already know that this is out of the question, right? You should know 100,000. That's ridiculous for this guy, right? I mean, it's too low. I mean, can you guys just see?
Of course.
Start to see that? Yeah. But this is where you're starting to see that here is where it's going to get interesting, is somewhere in there, right? So what you can do is, if I was new, I would start out with probably 200 and do 1450, right? And that comes out to 2650 over 6. Remember, the outflow always over the inflow. So 2650
44%.
over 6,000, and he's at 44. He's a little shy. He's a little light, right? Because you got probably 6-7% to go, right? So what I said is that, let's say I pick a number out of the sky, and I would first probably do an even number like 50. So what is 725 times 50%, Nick? Or what's 725 divided by 2?
362.
Okay. So, right. So we have 1450 plus 362. Right? does that come out to? 1820?
18, 12, 50.
Okay, 1812. That's the name of a good bar. So, so 1812 plus 1200 in bills. So what do you got? 3,012 bucks, right?
Yep.
Okay, so what's 3,012 divided by 6 grand, Nick?
It's 50%.
Okay. Yeah. So we see that it's kind of getting up there now, right? I mean, I probably want to stay somewhere right in this range. Now, you could probably push the envelope a little bit and go to 270, and we do the same thing. What's 725 times 70%?
Final 750.
Okay. So plus the 1450. Every 725 is 100.
1957.
So 1957 plus 3150. What is it?
$31.57.
Okay, 3157 divided by 6,000 is how much? 53.
53.
Okay. Now, if I was going to give someone a pre-approval letter for 53% debt ratio, I'd have to make absolutely 100% certain before they go under contract that I have the exact numbers. You cannot let someone go under contract with a 53% pre-approval and not have final numbers before they go under contract. That means you have to know how much the insurance is, how much the property taxes are, because you're way up there. You see? Now 50% gave you some room. So you see a lot of this, there's some gray area in there for you. So, unless the guy was really pushing me and he wanted 270, I say that's fine, but you can't go under contract until I see the final insurance and taxes. Because normally I'd say, like, are you cool with 250, man? And most of them are gonna say, yeah. You know, so now that's for how much you would qualify for. So if it's me, I'm doing 250. 270 is a little aggressive.
250 is 50% debt ratio, right?
Yeah. Now for concessions, this is where it gets interesting and needed to close, where it's a little bit of a brain teaser. And I listen. I understand why here it's going to be a little bit more of a challenge. But I want you guys to be. I want to make you sharp. And so I'm going to throw some tough stuff in there for you to get you to be. Because I mean you want to be challenged while you're here. Right? You don't want to be just bullshit. I mean so if we know that on 250, and we're using the average of 1.25% for national average, that's $3 grand in taxes, 3125 to be exact. And we know that they're going to get that as a credit to their down payment. So we know on 250, the down payment is $87.50, right? So $87.50 minus $31.25 would be a down payment of $56.25.
How did you arrive at those numbers? The concessions. Let's go with the concessions.
No, these are. I'm not at the concessions yet. So this is for cash to close. So okay. Again, in Illinois and Iowa, they're going to get that 1-year tax proration. Does everyone know what a tax proration is? I don't know what it is.
Basically, they take the annual taxes and they prorate it to they divide it by. Say it's May, the guy's buying a house, right?
Yeah.
So they divide it by
Right.
5.
Right. Well, what ends up happening is that in Illinois and Iowa, the taxes I don't know. Ask me why. I don't know why they do, but they're paid in arrears. Okay. So when you go buy a house in Illinois, so you're not the seller of that property. Hasn't even paid the taxes yet. So as a result of that, the buyer, and it's, so this is something that's a, okay. Okay, so, and actually, there's a good. I'm gonna email you guys out something on tax proration. It'd be really good. Anyway, in these two states, you get a full year of tax credit, and I'm gonna send out a whole video on this to you guys, and in case you don't have it. But basically, let's just take this for the first step, that the house is $250, and the taxes are 1.25%. Right, according to pre-approved checklist. So that's $3,125 for taxes. Everyone agree with that? That's how much the taxes are.
Yeah.
Okay. So if they're buying a home with FHA, like it says it is, 250 times 3.5% is how much?
Say it again. What?
8750.
Okay, 8750. Okay. Now, the way that this, later, man. Have a good evening. Yeah, take care. So the way that the way this works with the tax proration, this happened on Brittany Mays. It was supposed to happen. Is this proration is a reduction to the down payment. So it's really cool. Okay. So,
That 3125
is a reduction to the down payment. So 8750
minus 31.
minus 3125 equals 5625. So this is a very strong pitch, because no one else, there's probably only a few banks in the country that can do this. Like Quicken, you have to put the 3.5 down. Say, hey, listen, I can get you 2% down, 2.5% down. You know, and so it actually, what you could do is, depending on how much the taxes are, in most cases it'd be 0 down with in Illinois and in Iowa, because usually the proration is going to be a lot bigger, because I was just doing it with just the 1 year, but it would be 2015 plus 2016, because 2016 hasn't been paid yet. Right now, right now it would be paid because it's December, but let's say that it would have been like October, you would have had all 2015 and 10 months of 2016. So you would have had a huge proration. Pretty much like cover like 80% of the down payment. So, but I just want to show you kind of how it works, that for the cash to close, in this example, it would be 5625. Now, the underwriter still wants to see the 8750 in her account. They want to see it in her account. But of that, she only has to bring 5625 to closing. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So, for the concessions, what we do in this case is still use our checklist to follow that. I think it's for 250, it's 3%, or is it 2.5%? What does our checklist say? Is it 2.5%? I think it's on. It's not on that. I don't think. I think it's on the pre-approved checklist.
So I think it was like 2 to 3%.
I think it's like 2.5%.
That's what I was.
So 6,250 for concessions.
How's it? Is it the 250 minus the 5625? Is the concessions? I mean,
No.
not minus that. Is it? I'm sorry. 250,000.
Remember on the pre-approved checklist it says how much you need for concessions.
Yeah.
I believe 250 is 2.5%. Somewhere there, it might be 2.75, but it's somewhere in there.
Okay.
And that comes out to 6,250 for concessions, which is needed. So that's how I determine how much is needed for closing. So does that make sense? This one's a little bit more of a.
You have to know about the tax program.
Yeah, you have to know about the tax proration, so it's a little bit harder. But You know, it'll come up, especially in those two. Now, now here's the thing. Next year, like around, you know, starting in like March, April, May, those prorations are going to kick in for the whole country again, because now we've gone a little deeper into the year, and those taxes are going to start to accumulate. Like you know, in June, July, August, September, we were closing deals like at 2% down FHA because we had those prorations all over the country. Obviously, in January, then there wouldn't be any
Yeah.
proration, right? So, so, with FHA loans, number 5, Florida. What'd you guys get here? Okay. This one's fairly straightforward though, right? This one should be fairly simple.
1,600 a month in payment.
What'd you say for qualification?
So 220,000.
Okay. So you're going right up to that 53. Seems like. Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to see, because if we can figure out kind of what the max would be comfortable with, obviously if we say 220 max, if he wants 200, we can back it down and be conservative from there, because we kind of know the tolerance, kind of know the,
Right.
and we're not taking it all the way to 55, we're taking it to 53, so depending on reserves and other factors, kind of gives you the,
Yeah.
just as a rule of thumb.
Yeah, but yeah, no, it's fine. Just that you got to remember, it's like, you know, your car might be able to go up to 120, but it may not be able to hold that for a while. You know, so yeah, whatever speed it is. So
I mean, you can do it at 50 if you wanted to. I mean,
yeah, it's just you have to keep that in mind, because you know you're going after that. There's no more room after that.
right.
So it's like kind of like when you cook. You got any of you guys cook here?
As little as
Okay.
possible.
Okay, like see the thing is about with salt or spices, see, you can always put in, but you can never take out.
Right.
See, and so you gotta kind of watch it. So it's fine. 200, 220. I like to doing it quickly. It's okay. It's 1450. That's 200 grand plus the 500. That's 50%. For concessions in Florida, 200,000. What is it? 3%. So 6 grand. Is that what you guys got? Is that what you get?
I mean, yeah, if you do 200 grand, it's 6,000.
And then needed to close. What did you get for cash to close?
I think we did 3.5%. So
Okay. Yeah. No
7 grand.
proration.
Who's looking for the interest rate?
I didn't write it down.
But, you know, based on that, I'm thinking it'll be 4%.
Somewhere in there. 3.75, 4.
Today's rate's probably
Yeah, we didn't see anything lower than 4. So.
yeah. Honestly,
Well, it's lower. There is rates lower than 4.
it's gonna be right now.
Yeah.
On these exercises, I'm saying, I don't think we saw any rates that were lower than 4 in this exercise.
Well, the rate sheet's always going to show rates lower. Well, there might be a cost associated with it.
I meant for par. We were just
Yeah.
quoting.
Yeah. Now, here's what. Let me tell you this as a rule of thumb when you're quoting rates. You know, you got to remember the market moves every day. So what I always do is I'd always quote 0.5% below par.
Below par, so.
99.5, and I would consider that par.
Okay.
Because tomorrow that could be par.
Right.
You know, so and if he goes and gets a quote from another lender tomorrow, and that's par now,
Hide something. I just sent you all the same email
Then-
I did send her. That she did send me on November 15th. What you got?
so I would say
It's
that's
still, if you've got a pure rate shop, it's tough.
yeah. I would say for me, if it was me, it was me doing the deal, I'd quote 3.75.
Email
Right.
you sent me doesn't say anything about locking the rate.
Yeah, he just showed me.
And what happens when you go to lock in the rate and quarter.
Well, no, but you let them know that it's not a guarantee. That it's floating. That we have no idea what's going to happen with the market. I explained that to my customer, but I let them know because you'd be surprised that in the next couple weeks you could very easily see that as a par rate.
Trying to say that because he can't even say that she said I locked the rate.
So anyway, that's just for me how I do it. Sure. So I hope that this was
Forward to everybody an email back.
I hope that this was informative and helpful for you guys. We good? What are the takeaways?
I will use that shortcut.
Yeah.
7.5.
Iowa and Illinois are funky. You know it.
Do you think the shortcut will help you?
I loved it. I mean, I think it was a rule of thumb. I mean, it's just a
Yeah.
kind of back of the napkin math.
Yeah,
That's-
I was doing
That's nice.
I was doing 10 steps. That's what I was
It's
doing.
a
Now
lot.
it's,
It's a lot faster.
the
Okay.
thing is, I've been using, Compass a lot more.